Wheelbase and center of gravity are two really important aspects when it comes to the handling characteristics of your motorcycle. I will explain and show them both to you, even though we can't actually see the center of gravity with our eyes. In the last video, we talked about how the trail affects the motorcycle's handling characteristics. Since this is a really interesting topic, today we talk more about driving characteristics. Wheelbase and center of gravity can be so different in different types of motorcycles and can make big changes when it comes to driving behavior. And now let's get started with wheelbase. Wheelbase is the horizontal distance between the centers of the two wheels of a motorcycle. Instead of the centers, you can also take the contact patches on the ground, since they are right below the centers of the wheels. Therefore, it is quite easy to measure. A longer wheelbase makes the motorcycle more directional stable. A shorter wheelbase, on the other hand, makes the motorcycle more agile. The wheelbase is like a lever. When you steer with your front wheel, the rear wheel has to follow. The longer the wheelbase, the less impact the steering input has on the rear wheel. That's why the wheelbase also has a huge impact on how fast the motorcycle wants to turn in a corner. When you have the exact same steering angle as an input, the output differs depending on the length of the wheelbase. A longer wheelbase comes with a wider turn, and a shorter wheelbase comes with a tighter turn. Another positive aspect of a longer wheelbase is the resistance to influences of the road surface. This point is also strongly linked to the trail, where the same thing applies. The longer the trail, the more resistant to surface influences. When braking, the wheelbase decreases. As a result, the motorcycle loses a bit of its straight line stability. In some cases, this is not useful or wanted, but it can also be used wisely while turning. But we'll have a closer look at this when we talk about the combination of wheelbase and center of gravity. What happens when we change the length of the wheelbase? Only changing the wheelbase can have many different results, depending on whether or not the center of gravity is changed as well, or the length of the swing arm. To get there, let's move on with the center of gravity. The center of gravity is the average position of the weight of a vehicle or any other object. It's the spot where the weight is evenly distributed in all directions. To measure the center of gravity is not as easy as measuring the wheelbase. At least I can do that here with my simple measuring tool that everybody has. It can be measured though with dynamic testing. In this method, the vehicle is moved and sensors measure how the vehicle responds. By analyzing the forces, the location of the center of gravity can be determined. A low center of gravity affects the handling characteristics as well as the stability of the motorcycle. A high center of gravity, on the other hand, will lead to less stability in corners, but it also makes that you lead less lean angle. Especially when braking and accelerating, the center of gravity plays a role. But here's the same. We can make the best conclusions when looking at the center of gravity and wheelbase combined. When looking at the combination of wheelbase and center of gravity, or better said, the ratio between the two of them, we can get interesting information about how the motorcycle behaves when braking or accelerating. This ratio can be calculated by dividing the height of the center of gravity by the length of the wheelbase. With a higher ratio between the two of them, we get more load transfer when braking or accelerating. With a lower ratio, the load transfer is less, and therefore also the effects a load transfer brings with it are reduced. Load transfer, by the way, means that when braking, for example, there's more weight force on the front wheel than usually and less weight force on the rear wheel.